Hi there. Welcome to another journey to a prophet's reward. I'm Michelle, and before we step out on our journey, I feel that we have a need to get plugged in. I need to get plugged in. I feel like we're going through such a dark time by listening to all the medical reports and the restrictions and the negative media and all kinds of atmosphere of just hopelessness brings darkness all around. And that's why I feel like before we can even step out on our journey, we need to get plugged in. And I almost mean literally. So let's get plugged in. What do I mean by that? What are we plugging into? Well, we're plugging into the presence of the Lord because we need His light and we need His hope. You know, I use this as an illustration, but we do have electricity in our bodies. You can tell that by the static electricity and the static cling in our clothes. So, with that in mind, I remembered that the Lord had revealed to me in an earlier time this year about our electricity and how His light and His glory and our electricity are somehow intertwined together. And what He did was He took me to a place on our map. He took me to Genesis chapter 1, verse 3, which says, Then God said, Let there be light. And there was light. Then I proceeded to find some other scriptures on our map, like Ephesians chapter 5, verse 8, where it says, For you were once darkness, but now you are light in the Lord. Walk as children of light. So as we take our journey to a prophet's reward, we want to remember that we need to walk as children of light while we're on our journey, while we're resting, while we're on our journey, wherever we are. We need to walk as children of light. All these things about electricity and plugging into His presence brought me to a memory from my younger years when I used to have this experience in the mornings lying in my bed when I was praying and worshiping God, where I could suddenly sense the presence of the Lord upon me. By all this electricity I felt in my body, I felt like this static all over me. And what really amazed me was at that time, I had a metal headboard attached to my bed, and I began to notice that I could hear something in the headboard like static, and it was actually sounding like static while I was feeling the static on me. And I came to this sudden realization that that was the electrical presence, the tangible presence of the Lord upon me. And then I knew I wasn't imagining that Spirit of God upon me because I had gotten plugged in to His presence. So, what happens when we get plugged into His presence? Well, let's check our map because Isaiah 58, verse 8, tells us, "Then your light shall break forth like the morning. Your healing shall spring forth speedily, and your righteousness shall go before you. The glory of the Lord shall be your rear guard." And then Isaiah chapter 60, verse 1 declares to us what happens when we plug in to the presence of the Lord. It says, "Arise, shine, for your light has come, and the glory of the Lord is risen upon you." So, as we plug in to the presence of the Lord, something contagious happens. The atmosphere around us changes. That's what these things are saying. Things actually happen to us, healings and glory, but it's also on us that it changes the atmosphere around us and it becomes contagious. It spreads. Isaiah 60, verse 2 says, "For behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, and deep darkness the people, but the Lord will arise over you, and his glory will be seen upon you." As more and more of us get plugged into the presence of God, guess what happens? Habakkuk 2, verse 14 happens. It says, "For the earth will be filled with the knowledge of the glory of the Lord, as the waters cover the sea." So, as more and more of us get plugged into the presence of the Lord, the glory rises upon us, it shines forth from us, and it just spreads and spreads and spreads until it's covering the whole earth like the waters cover the sea. So, before we step out on our journeys, we need to plug in to the presence of the Lord. Even Jesus told this to his disciples. In a sense, he was telling them, when you plug in, you have light and you have life. Listen to what he said to them in John chapter 8, verse 12. He said, "Then Jesus spoke to them again, saying, I am the light of the world. He who follows me shall not walk in darkness, but have the light of life." Here are our map points for today so that you may study. Genesis 1:3, Ephesians 5, verse 8, Isaiah 58, verse 8, Isaiah 60, verses 1 and 2, and also Habakkuk 2, verse 14, and John 8, verse 12. Thank you for plugging in to the presence of the Lord with me. And until next time, stay on the righteous path.